I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to start. I don't know, again, how to begin a discussion regarding something as complex as this, what is going on right now in the Middle East, with the statement that it is complex. People hate complexity. They hate it. It drives them nuts. They don't want to hear about anything that suggests that maybe things are more complicated than they might think. They want simple answers, one way or the other. It doesn't matter. Pick a side. Israel, Palestine, or certainly not Hamas. I don't know anyone. I have not heard anyone anywhere say that Hamas is great. Boy, that's the way to do it. I've not heard that. I'm sure I'm looking in the wrong places. So they're kind of out of the equation. But it's come down to this very simple thing: Israel, Palestine. That's it. That's what they call it. That's the issue. Israel or Palestine. No such thing as both. No such thing as, well, let's see. They have a point. They have a point. Oh, no, 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 no. We hate nuance. We hate it. It drives people nuts. The idea of there being actually more than one answer is beyond anything anybody can even grasp. Nobody can do it. They hate it. Because, and also, nobody wants to really dig deep and look at history and issues and perspective, because we have been raised as anti-intellectuals. We hate nuance. We hate gray areas. We hate anything other than you were right, you were wrong, good guy, bad guy. It's like nothing I ever thought would be even remotely possible. And I mean that. I told you yesterday, I have started off, I have said nothing, as I think most people, in denouncing savagery on the part of Hamas. This is how this started. This is what happened Saturday on the 7th. This is it. But because I'm not, I guess, I'm not paying enough homage, or that's the wrong word, historical reference to Israel and their barbarism, because I am daring to focus on what happened Saturday, when people were taken hostage, slaughtered. I got to be careful of the words we use. I don't understand this. And these are from people who were, quote, on the left. The ones who say there are these lines, there are these purity tests that you must satisfy. I told you yesterday, I thought a friend of mine whose name you would know. Absolutely. Tell me basically, we're not friends because the red line is Palestine. What the hell does that have to mean? I've been through this with Trump. I've been through this by denouncing kidnapping. And yet, at the same time, suggesting that you have to listen to all sides. You have to listen to Palestinians. You have to hear what they have to say. You must be conversant with this. This is weird. I've never seen, and by the way, this same person is the one who screams at people being shut down, who tended to not follow the line regarding Ukraine. And I mean, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible what we are seeing. Incredible. It's incredible. I can't. There is not enough of this. There is not enough time. There is not enough wherewithal. There is not enough anything for me to explain just before we even get to the issues before us. The level of anger, the level of, I don't know what it is. It's nonsense. As you're talking about war and trying to settle this, it's incredible. There is it is required for people to recognize the fact, and I can't say this enough, it is critical for people to recognize the fact that we live in a world where there are no such thing as blacks and whites in terms of truth and non-truth. Now let me begin this, and let me just say this. And by the way, I want everybody to speak. I'm not going to be a part to shutting people down. I don't care what you say as much as I do the way you came to that conclusion. And I don't want to ever point anybody out and say that is the most stupid thing I've ever seen in my life. But I have seen some absolutely stupid. And I recognize that what social media represent to a lot of people is the chance to be a flamethrower, the chance to scream, the chance to yell, the chance to say things is in as few words as possible, to draw reaction, to make people angry, to be the contrarian, to be the flamethrower. I understand it. I believe me. Do you know where I have been? Do you know what issues I've been through? Do you understand? Do you think this is my first rodeo? Especially when there are younger folks who all of a sudden they find themselves, hey, this is pretty good. I can go in and I can, depending upon the group, I can just say, it's Israel's fault. Here's my favorite. Israel knew about it. They knew about it and basically wanted this to happen. They drew people in. Okay. Is this your hypothesis? No, it's my fact. Where are your facts? Well, I know this and I know this. There are other people who are saying it's Iran. Iran was behind this. Do you know this? Well, they've always benefited. Well, what did they say? Well, they didn't say this, but it's most likely. Saying it's most likely is one thing. Saying it's an absolute fact is another. And another thing too. But see, this is what I've been telling you for the longest time. When people believe something to be true, they confuse it with the fact that it is true. I've been through this. Remember, I've been through the 9/11 years. I've been through this. I've seen this. I've heard stories and theories you can't even imagine. And what happens, we've been through COVID. We've been through everything. Remember those? Remember what people said? It was out of control. Out of control. Remember when they talked about kids that were being brought in, people, serious people who were honest to God, they were dead serious. They were talking about children being brought in tunnels, through tunnels. And where did you get this from? Remember when kids were being transported in furniture and people were saying, there it is. And then what happens is, what motivated that was not the truth, the anti-truth. It was the metrics, because numbers equate into and convert into worth, into verity, into they how do I say this? They convert into truth and evidence. They convert into everything. That's all people care about. And I don't want to do anything to affect. I don't want to do anything to affect social media freedom. I'm sorry. That's what you get. as disinformation, bad information, misinformation, lies, hey, whatever. You can't shut down the medium of truth because you don't look how people abuse it. And there's no way around that. There's no way to stop that. You can't make people think. You can't make people research. You can't make people love history. You can't make people say, look at the perspective. What have you done? Where have you gone today? Where have you? What books have you read? What documentaries have you seen? What are you watching? You can't do that. You can't instill in people. They don't even know history. They've never been to school. They don't care. It doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of free speech. I'm sorry. You either have free speech or you don't. You want to lock everything down? Great. We're not going to have any misinformation. And sometimes, in a very weird way, sometimes weird, contrarian, negative, if you will, speech actually inspires deliberate, honest to God, great thought. All right. Let me stop for 1 second. Let me remind you, dear friends, please like this video. I can't say this enough. I can't say this enough to like our videos, to subscribe to the channel. It means more than anything. It's what's critical. And liking this puts us into another perspective. So we thank you for that. I also want you to understand right now that as we speak, we've had a sponsor and I've never, it's eerie. It's eerie right now as I'm listening to people. They're talking about Gaza, about no food, no water, no heat, no utilities, no nothing. Emergency. I cannot believe, and I hope and pray, whatever that means, that it never ever happens to us or anybody for that matter. But when you talk about emergency food, and I've been talking about preparewithlionel.com for a while, it's eerie now when you hear about it. It's here because, granted, you're hearing someplace else, hearing about other people. I understand it. But what you're hearing right now is something so frightening. So frightening. And you're thinking to yourself, my God, look, listen to what's happening. Listen to these realities. And this is a chance for you to really ask yourself, what would you do if you would not be able just to go to a store? If the store in your area, let's call it. It's that simple. I'm not making this up. Preparewithlionel.com has a 25% off a 3-month emergency food kit. Go online and look and see for yourself. See for yourself. Ask yourself, what would you do? And it doesn't have to be war. It can be just a disaster. It can be weather. It can be violence. It can be a variety of things. It can be a variety of things. Reality is one of those things where we just don't like it. It's why people smoke. It's why people eat the wrong things, because they say, no, that's not me. That's other, that's what we do. And I can't make you wise up. I can't make you think. But if you are wise, you go to preparewithlionel.com. You'll look at what's available and you say, you know what? He's right and they're right. And I don't want to push fate anymore. I've got to get ready. My family, we've got to be ready, not just with some stuff, banana chips in the cupboard, but with professional equipment, professional stockpiles. Preparewithlionel.com. Do it. Now, my friends, again, I'm not the usual person. I was watching, and I'm sorry. Maybe I do not. Maybe I just don't get it. Maybe I just don't understand it. Maybe I don't see it. Maybe I don't see it right. But I have always hated people who take no blank obviousness and put it into something that just I don't understand it. I don't grasp how this thing works. Let me see if I can explain this to you. This morning I was doing a piece for my private channel where I can speak freely. When I say speak freely, I mean just that. Speak freely. I mean it. And by the way, that's the channel. I put it up there for you if you want to do this. To make a long story short, I was watching some various news shows. I'm not even going to mention the news shows because it's part of I was watching, I don't even know it, Israeli, French, Al Jazeera, RT, China, WION, WION, World is One, everything, Al Jazeera documentaries, Lex Friedman, interviews with Bibi, interviews with Palestinian authorities. What is the occupation? What do they think like? What is it like living in Gaza? What about the West Bank? How did Hamas start? What's the history of Hamas? How does Hamas versus Hezbollah? Who does what? Zionism, anti-Zionism, anti-Semitism, everything you can imagine. I have been immersed. I have been absolutely, positively immersed. Like I study anything. I want to know everything about it. I want to know the history of everything. And the more I learn, the more I see, not the more confused I am, but the more I'm understanding some absolute realities. First, who is lying? Who is lying? Who is lying right now? Who? Tell me who's lying. Who's not telling the truth? When you hear people, when you see, and let's forget politicians. Let's keep them out of the. But if you're talking to Israeli families who are pleading for the return of their family members, are they lying? Are they making this up? Were their family members not? Were they not? What? Were they not kidnapped? Are they making this up? Is this a big joke? Do you think so? I don't think so. When you talk to folks who live in Gaza or Palestinians, are they making this up? When you see Palestinians complaining about checkpoints and you see mistreatment allegedly, or you see it by Israeli soldiers, do you think when they're complaining, do you think they're making this up? Do they have it wrong? Or is it one of the things like, well, they had it, they had it coming and that's the way it goes. And look, hey, complain to Hamas. I've heard this one. Look, you're living like that because you had a chance and you didn't tell these people, you didn't tell Hamas and others, you didn't fix it. You didn't fix it. You could have fixed it yourself. You didn't do it. So it's your fault. So don't bitch and moan and complain to us. I've heard that one. I've heard that. So tell me, how do you sort through this? How do you sort through this? Tell me. I'm serious. And by the way, we love your theories about New World Order and this, it's great and it's so, and I've heard it, and believe me, we know all of New World. This is a great reset. This is a problem. Yes. Yes, that's a wonderful. It's great. As part of the quiver. Let me throw out some New World Order stuff. That's great. Wonderful. Great. That doesn't help anybody right now. Sorry. I know that's not fun to say. I know I'm not supposed to say that. But it's also so old. It's the same stuff all the time. So my question is, it's very, 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 very simple. Is anybody who's lying? What are you hearing that's not the truth? Tell me. I think that's the most important. What are you hearing that's not the truth? Anything? Anything? Because what we do is, whenever we get together, a lot of folks want to say, let me show you how smart I am. Let me bring up something which is frankly kind of irrelevant to everything. Let me show you how smart I am. Let me show you how brilliant I am. Let me show you. You know what I mean? And believe me, you don't remember this. Many of you were too young to be through this, but I lived through 9/11, and oh my God! Not only do we have the geopolitical folks, we had people who are experts on everything from construction to military to design to structural engineering to you name it. You name it. Everybody. It was like the most incredible thing in the world. Everybody, they came out of the woodwork. They came out of the work. It was the most incredible. It was like we never. It's like it's like, oh my God. Well, the melting point of steel. Oh God. And I had to go through the melting point of steel forever. That one was just it's like you're kidding me. I've got to go through the melting point of steel. And you must understand this. We always have folks who love to bring in and show you that they know something. They love to show you some, or what they'll do is they'll show you how there's they saw this. Like they saw this video. Do you ever get those people? I get so many nice people who send me videos. And I want to say in a nice way, stop sending me videos. Seeing Judge Janine, I don't want to tell you, I'm not watching. I have no interest in this. What is this? What is it that motivates people to just like some kind of diarrhea? I don't know what it is. They just pump out. Watch this on Rumble. Watch this interview. Watch this with a Duran. Watch this. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know that I'm watching this. I don't understand it myself, but I want you to see that I watch this. I love telling you, here, watch this one. I like to say, keep an eye on this. This is a good perspective, but that's not to replace my own individual analysis, my individual thought. There are people who actually think that watching the Duran, and by the way, they're great, that substitutes for deep dive thinking. Because remember something. Whose perspective is important? Both. Aren't you interested when somebody says to you, like I'm interested in who's involved with the message of Israel, with the defense message? Who's responsible for this? Who? I'm thinking to myself, whoever, this must play well in Tel Aviv or something, because it's not converting elsewhere. Or do you even care? I need 400 likes, my friends. I need 400 likes. Sorry about that. I hate to be so crass, but I just need that. It's that serious. Where's the perspective in this one? Is there ever going to be peace? There can't be. You know what I'm thinking? You know what I hope? Maybe. And I use this in a very, I don't know. I say it, and as soon as I say it, they no, that's not it. That's not it. You probably didn't know this. Maybe you didn't know it, but being raised in Florida, I have many friends of mine who are Cuban, and their family members are from Cuba, and they were the most ardent anti-Castro folks you have ever met in your life. This had a tremendous impact on my not political, but my background, because I heard so many people, friends of mine, their fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers, talk about this thing called tyranny and liberty, and they were political prisoners. And this was just from when I can remember, because the brain drain in Cuba was like 59. So I was a year old. So I remember listening to this. And they wanted absolutely nothing. They wanted the embargo. They didn't want anything lifted. They didn't care if their family was, getting medicine. It didn't matter. They wanted to just cut Castro off. There was a seething rage, and understandable. Now, then my generation was really the second, if you will, after the parents. Still had it, but a certain degree less. As generations came about, they lost that virulence. Why? Because they weren't there. They weren't there. They changed. And you can also maybe look at Northern Ireland and see this. But here's what's happening right now. This is the difference with this area. And nobody wants to talk about this. All of these kids in the air, in Gaza, in the occupied areas, in West Bank, this is what they are raised on firsthand. This perpetuates the next generation of this. This isn't going anywhere. So don't think, well, eventually people will come to their senses. Everything's wear off. Oh, no, 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 no. You've got Israeli kids who will never forget October the 7th. Never. They've been, not only this, they've been through the first intifada, second intifada. They've been through they have lived in a world and have incorporated into a world things that you cannot even comprehend. So it's not going anywhere. Let me say this again. Let me repeat. This is not going away. This is choreographed violence. This is the incomprehensibility of this. So just remember this. You can talk all day long about the New World Order aspects, whether Netanyahu knew this, whether this was some, whatever you want. Whatever. And then you're also talking about, I just saw something Seymour Hersh put, Netanyahu is finished. The end of this. How is this being played out? What caused this? Netanyahu's going to be saying, look, I may do a lot of things. I didn't cause October the 7th. I didn't cause Saturday. I didn't cause Hamas to do this. I didn't do it. And I sure as hell didn't know about it and let it happen on purpose. So when he says that, what do you say? What do you say? You understand how this works? What do you say? Now think about it. Do you say, well, this is a culmination of your policies? What policies? What policies? What are you talking about? Hamas wants us gone from the rivers to the sea. But are you kidding? What do you mean my policies? You think I created this? He's got a good point. Who created this? So if he's not finished, and then they say the last thing in the world you want to show is weakness. Do you think that this is a matter of, and see, this is where you stop. And this is where all of our New World Order practitioners have to stop for a second and say, let me think. This is a very good point. What would you do right now? And I asked this last night, and nobody answered the question, because you can't answer the question. If you were if you were on whatever you want, either the Palestinian group, a leadership, or Israel, what would you do? Who's going to fix this? This is where people have the hardest part, because your brain gets cramped. Let me ask you, who? Who is it? What is the point of this? What do you think is the purpose? We talk about choreographed violence. What do you think the purpose of Hamas was? What was Hamas? Is you're going to take, let's say, 1,000 people, 1,200 people, whatever it is. It's horrible. It's not like dropping a bomb. It's terrorism. What does terrorism do? The point of this is exactly what it was intended to do. To make you feel as though you are unsafe, and to make you feel as though you are without the ability to function. So let me ask you something. What is the answer? Mention MBS. This is interesting. I think if anybody has the most powerful person around, maybe today, by virtue of just oil, is Mohammed bin Salman. Absolutely. Especially when they were making tremendous strides with Israel before this happened. Ask MBS, what makes you the happiest? Money, power, oil, peace, what? Or is it mayhem? Is it lunacy? What does it? Tell me. What makes it happen? Do you say, oh, no, no, no. This is in our blood. They are as different of people as you can imagine. The MBS family, the royal family. What connection do you think they have with Gaza? What? Do you think that Palestinian, that Muslim, it's monolithic? Do you think it's just one group of people? One idea, us against the Jews? Is that it? You're out of your mind. First of all, there's so many organizations, and there's Sunnis and Shia, and there's this and that. It's a history and perspective. There is no unanimity. That's the best part. The nuance of this. The nuance. Do you think people like Hamas? Hell no. But from some people's point of view, just like some people like Fox, I'm not to compare Fox or MSNBC, some people have a real, screaming and yelling, and some others, it's different. Now, let's talk about something better. Here's something you can probably handle because it's less taxing, and I don't mean to say that rudely, but it's less. The irony of ironies of ironies. If there's one thing that has happened, one thing, one benefit, and even that term is, it's Rashida Tlaib and these other big mouths got it handed to them. They've done more to hurt their cause because of their big mouths. The sense of, we're the squad. We can say whatever we want. It's about the Benjamins and this, and Ilhan Omar with that perpetual rictus, that grin, that snarky. Oh my God, that thing she does and things she did. This. Oh God, I think to myself, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you? Who do you think you're helping with this? How do you think you're doing anything to help anyone with this? With this, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, AOC backed off because they realized we just changed. The people who are calling for shutdown of thought, shutdown of ideas, cancel culture, they're being canceled. The greatest moment was when these kids, these punks at Harvard, basically said, oh, no, no, no. This is the story of stories. God bless Bill Ackman. God bless Bill Ackman. He said Harvard should name the students who were not only blaming Israel, it was more than that. It's more than just to say, things like, well, maybe because of policies. Yeah, that's not what happened. Oh, no, 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 no. Ackman and about a dozen other big shots have endorsed this idea to deny hiring to members of student groups at Harvard who signed on to this letter blaming Israel for Hamas's attack. Blaming. It's one thing. I mean, you can talk about a lot of stuff you want. You can talk about people that provide different, circumstances, and but this, oh, I love this guy. Sparky says, cui bono, who benefits? Cui prodest. Biden administration and other globalists, certainly not the Palestinians. An excellent point. But who always benefits from the notion of any kind of chaos? Let me ask you this, Sparky. What is it that you want? Let me just answer this one question. You can ask for whatever you want, but if it ain't going to happen, if you say, I want a Learjet and $10 billion to let the hostages go, you're not going to get a Learjet. You might get a Learjet. You're not going to get $10 billion. So just because you ask for something doesn't mean that it's subject to negotiation. This is the beautiful thing, which I find fascinating. I despise these folks. George Len says, and then you have people like Larry Summers saying, perhaps I may have gotten this wrong. Yeah, a little bit. We have our own people. You see, in every group of people, remember Ward Churchill? Remember Ward Churchill, who was talking about little Eichmanns or something after that? I don't even know what the hell he was talking about. There are people who don't know when to stop. We have it here. We have this group. Here's one for you. Has the ADL come out against Harvard and the squad? You know what? I do not know. That's a very, very interesting question. I do not know. And the problem that I've had before is people all of a sudden suggesting that there has been there are people who say, this is hate speech. This is hate speech. Hate speech? Hate speech? What do you mean hate speech? These are the people that scare me most when they take it upon themselves to say, we want to shut you down because once I call something hate speech, then all I have to do is call anything hate speech and that's it. Daniel Nathan Leland says, the mother of one of my high school kids, Bukharian Jewish family from Brooklyn, has an elderly widowed uncle who lives on a border town. He is presumably dead or captive. It's horrid. It's horrid. Let me explain something to you. And by the way, thank you for this. It's beyond horrid. Let me see if I can just put things maybe into perspective a little bit here. And we have to stop. And we have to always keep in mind what's going on. Number one, free speech always must remain unfettered. Free speech. Hiram Johnson, the senator, said the famous story was that the first casualty of war is truth. So that's number one. And sometimes, Daniel and others, it's tough for us to understand this, but that's the way that goes. Sometimes you must let people say whatever it is. Though, but you challenge free speech, or you challenge negative speech, wrong speech, whatever it is, with truth, with collective response, but you don't shut people down. You say, you can't talk and you can't talk. Can't do that. That's what people want. There are people, haters of free speech, people who want there to be monitors of social media, who are Elon enemy folks, maybe even Elon himself. I don't know. This thing gets very Byzantine and Machiavellian, but who want there to be speech limitations. So what they do is that they will deliberately put horrible pictures out there, horrible, to then demand. It's like Hegelian dialectics kind of in reverse, forcing people to demand, you've got to do something about this. Don't fall for this. You either want free speech or you don't. You can't get intelligent speech. You can't get nice speech. You can't get relevant speech. It's free or it's not at all. We can never, ever, ever. This is what Julian Assange is about. This is whatever it is. You start off with this premise. Because let me tell you something. Believe me, as we speak, the first thing they're going to be saying is, because Rashida Tlaib said this, they want to shut her down. No, don't shut her down. Kick her out of office, put somebody else, run against her. But no, I'm sorry. We don't do this. We don't ever do this. That's number one. Number two, every time something like this happens, there are people with a big mouth. And there's the person, and I've seen this before. Have you ever been at a bar and there's a woman who's drunk? And she gets... Remember, did you see the woman who's drunk recently who's yelling at the German citizens, these two German guys, screaming and yelling, go back to... And the boyfriend invariably is saying, please sit down. It's always the drunk woman in these videos. It's always the Karen. You notice how there's the Kevin, who tend to be just violent, but the Karen, this prototypical lunatic screamer, the Karen is somebody who always is whatever. Okay, fine. Now, here's the story, and this is important. And I mean this with all due respect. You have people who enjoy their own power. They enjoy their own impermeability. They love it. Ilan Omar, she loves being the firebrand. Okay. AOC, very smart. AOC is the Marjorie Taylor Greene. Boebert is gone. You notice that? She doesn't know what she wants to be. Divorced, hot. She doesn't know what she wants to be. Matt Gaetz, Swalwell. You know what I mean? They're kind of like the same. They're both going to, you know what I mean? You see where this is? But we have a very interesting dynamic here. Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC. AOC is very smart. I would, as a political lover of crafting, of psephology, so to speak, I would love to be on the team that says, okay, AOC, we're going to fix you. Think of kind of like a Pygmalion or a My Fair Lady. We're going to show you how to redo, regroup, refinish, rework, calibrate your image. It's very important. Very. Do you understand this? It's very, very, very important that you change everything about yourself. And she's doing it now. She's backing off. She's smart. While these other idiots didn't see what was happening. Rashida Tlaib, when they ask her, do you denounce savagery? And again, I got to be careful because of words. We have to, but what was done to children, you know what I'm talking about. Who in their right mind doesn't ever say, of course I do? Who is so stupid as to say, wait a minute, hold it. What is your name? What is your name? You with it, whatever. Don't run from people. Don't look like you're not going to answer the question. With some Fox News or somebody's running with a camera or a recorder asking you to denounce the obvious. What are you talking? This is where I realize she doesn't deserve to be in office. Every politician knows this is a gimme. This is a gimme. All you have to do is say, you hereby, you can say, where's your camera? What is your name again? You always ask their name like you don't, because what are you saying? What you're saying is, because I don't recognize you. I don't know who you are. What is your name again? Yeah. Where is your camera? Oh, there's your camera. Let me make this very clear. Make sure you listen to everything I'm saying and quote me exactly. I absolutely detest, abhor, denounce, renounce, abnegate any connection with senseless violence against innocent human beings. Is that clear enough for you? What's your name again? Is that clear enough? Do you want me to say it again? I can rephrase it if you don't understand it. Because apparently You've never heard what I have said. And you know, Rashida Tlaib somewhere in her life denounced senseless violence against, so she can easily say, you obviously don't know. What's your name? Who is it? Who are you again? You obviously don't know my record. So let me make sure you get this straight. And that will put an end to it. But no, she ran with her head down. Ilan Omar used to do this. They would run. And you'd think somewhere would say, we're going to practice this thing. We are going to practice this right now. We know the issue. Okay, Elon. Okay, Rashid. Okay, AOC. You're walking out of the office. I'm going to be the ambush person. What do you say? Let's do it, right? Let's rehearse. Okay? Let's do this. Let me show you how to do this. Everybody, you got it? Let me show you how to do this. Does this make sense to you? Let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how to do this. Let me show you. This is the part which is, to me, I don't understand what the deal. I don't even understand it. I don't grasp it. I don't understand how stupid these people can. Okay, that's number one. Number two, there's something that drives me, and I'm the only one who feels like this, and I recognize this fact, and I'm the only one. This is the part about Fox News and the opposite, I guess, maybe CNN or something, who takes the no blank obviousness and takes it to a new level. They have on somebody, and it was on my YouTube thing. It's like, oh no, you get an anchor who gets worked up to show you that she understands death and carnage and war more than you do. You don't understand it. She understands it. She's the one who gets it, not you. She understands it. See, you don't understand it. She and they work themselves up for this schmaltz to build up the reel, to their Emmy reel, what we always say, whatever. Well, there goes the Emmy reel. People. It's just it's obvious. You know how many people who are responsible, who are rational Palestinians who denounce the slaughter of women and children and the elderly? You do know this is a no-brainer, right? You do know that part of the Hamas charter is not an acceptance of any refusal to question the senseless slaughter of whatever. It's a no-brainer. But here is the best part, and this is the thing I love. You wanted limitations. You wanted all of the Trump folks to be booted. You wanted us, who barely even showed any connection to Trump, off of this, off of that, ground into dust. You were the ones who said anybody who dares to even question the legitimacy of an election or the franchise, you wanted these people thrown off. Lawyers, a 65 Project, shut down and shut up for daring to exercise their constitutional right to represent somebody who deigns to question the efficacy and the legitimacy of an election. You were going to shut them down. You had no problem with that. You want people kicked off of social media merely because they dared to question vaccination protocols, virus trajectories. You wanted all that. You had no problem with that. And we told you, you can't do it. You can't do, you cannot do this. You didn't listen. You didn't listen. You didn't listen. So you obviously said, no, people being kicked off and shut down. You wanted people to be fired from jobs, and great. Well, now all of these people, there is a list And believe me when I tell you this, when Ackman and others go to Harvard and say, you want us to keep giving you money to go into your endowment? Give us the names. They'll give them up. Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm not going to give them up, but there may be a leak. You betcha. Because there's this name brand impunity that Harvard has, which makes me sick. Sparky says, Brian Berletic and Angelo Giuliano of the New Atlas ask if Hamas cares about Palestinians, why don't they stop an Israeli bulldozer about to destroy a Palestinian house? Instead, they have October 7th. That's interesting. That's interesting. You see, this is the part that I don't understand. Sparky, I thank you. This is the part that I don't understand. I don't get, unless there's something about this, maybe there's an inside thing you got to know here. If you are against, there are people, have you ever read Haaretz? There are people in Israel, born in Israel, who are against occupation, who are anti-Zionist. There is not a monolithic group of people called Israelis. It doesn't exist. There are people who are saying, look, I'm against the occupation, but I sure as hell am against Hamas. I don't know where they are. I don't know why nobody's listening. One of the things that you must understand, and I saw this, remember, I lived 9/11. I lived it like you can't believe it. The first thing they said was, how come the Muslim leaders aren't coming forward? How come these Muslim leaders aren't coming forward and denouncing 9/11? And they said, we did. Well, I didn't hear it. Who are you? They did this. I've been through this before. There is not a monolithic group of people. Along with Garland, Nixon, and the Duran, the New Atlas should be on everyone's geopolitical news and commentary list. I will do that. By the way, you know who was extremely fascinating from a new perspective? A new perspective is Judge Knapp and Scott Ritter. Be careful. That's all I'm going to say. Let me give you an idea very quickly about this. We have a store kind of around it. It's a spice store that you've never seen anything like it. I've heard of spices that and we bought this box. It's almost like a curry mix, but it's everything. You had to see it. And I remember smelling this like, ooh, that's good. Wow, what is this? What's a lavender? That's fascinating. Oh, I like that. And if I don't like that one, put that over there. What is it? I don't know what that's called. Put that over there. Ooh, garam masala. Oh, I like that. Put that here. What is this? Ooh, this is a cross between cardamom and ooh, I like that. And then there are some things where I'm thinking, I like the smell. I don't know where I would put in because let's say I'm from an Italian base and I don't really use clove but okay, you got that? Those are ideas. Ideas are like spices. They give you a perspective. They give you something that's like, I didn't think about that. I didn't understand this. I got to understand it. You have to know how things work. You have to understand. And you have to be in the position. You must be in the position where everyone grasps the notion that the more you know, the more perspectives you know, the more that you see, it helps you. And here's the best part. You ready? This is the best part. Please don't take this the wrong way, but you might feel better about this. It doesn't really matter what you think because nobody's really asking you. So if you have the wrong opinion, don't worry about it. Nobody's asking you. Nobody's interested. Nobody's going to say, wait a minute, let's go to, Felonious 1984 and on YouTube because nobody's asking you. So feel free to understand. Feel free. I mean, if you sat down right now, but let me go back to this thing. You have no idea how I love and I can't stand these people who have this haughty lunacy. When I used to see in 1960, whatever it was, the Columbia riots and protests, when they sat in the president's chair and they're smoking his cigars and putting his feet up, I'm wondering, even as a kid, I thought, that doesn't help your cause. That doesn't help your cause. That doesn't help your cause. I don't understand. Why are you doing that? What is the purpose of this? When you see a bunch of kids, and they're kids, dressed and wearing a variety of these, not headdresses, but these Palestinian, kind of like that Arafat, whatever that cloth style. It's not a heat. I know the female name for it, but I don't know what the name of the anyway. When they're smiling and look at us, we're protesting. This is mommy when she was at Harvard. And yeah, those are my days. Here we are meeting with the Nepali law students group protesting the occupation. Weren't those great days? We had pizza and we had our homemade signs and it was just great. But we're at Cambridge. I'm at Cambridge, Massachusetts, waiting to get out and get a cushy white firm job, white shoe job, and I have nothing to do, and I can say anything I want because I'm blessed because I'm at Harvard, and anything I say is per se brilliant. No, it's not. Barry Taylor says education is supposed to help us get beyond violence, antagonism, hate, cruelty, etc., not merely to pass an examination to get a job. Ideally, you are most correct, sir. Ideally. Edie says, Efrat Fenningson, great interview. Oh, I saw her. I like her a lot. I liked her also with Brett Weinstein, who was so careful. So careful about this. Does violence ever work? Does war ever work? Yes. Yes. What would you have done with World War II? What? What do you want to do? Of course it works. Of course it works. It's unfortunate. It is sad. It is very, very, very sad. But yes, it does work. It really does. And it's most effective. Don't forget that. There are people who will tell you that's the only way this happens. It's sad to say. It's just imagine if you met somebody from another planet and they said, "What are you doing? Why are you killing each other?" Well, because of land. Because of land and history and ethnicity and language and culture and religion and everything. Oh, yeah. It's very, very simple. What were the troubles like? See, most of us don't really have any clue of the Northern Ireland problems. But what was that about? It was about jurisdiction and land. Yes, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. What are you talking about? Absolutely. What will make people happy? What will make people happy? How do we do this? There are people who are saying, you don't understand. We want Israel out. That's not going to happen. It's kind of been settled. Okay, let's move on then. It's not going to move on. So what do you do? What do you do? Everything, all of those Oh my God, those organizations, if they had said, we want to meet and pray. Here we are at Harvard, the Muslim, Iranian, Nepali, Palestinian law students meeting with the Jewish. We want to show the world we're lawyers. We negotiate. Do you know how brilliant that would have been? I mean, they would have probably got the Nobel Prize. But that's not fun. That's not fun. When you have people who say, you don't understand something, don't think that there is something, there are people who've intermarried, they could have done so much, but that's not what they want to do. It's about them. Sparky says, it should be noted that Iran-sponsored Hezbollah tends not to target civilians. Not so for Hamas, sponsored by Western proxy Qatar. You know, Sparky, and it's a very, very interesting thing. And I am not necessarily going to how do I say this? I'm not going to dispute sponsorship. But ask yourself this question. Look at the various groups and what is it that they want to accomplish and how. There are some folks who are involved in, for example, industrial and structural sabotage. They're into going after water systems or going after symbolic, reference points. Then there was 1972 in Munich, Fatah. What was that about? What did that accomplish? What was that about? Think about that. Remember the red? What was his name? The one that the leader. He had red hair. Anyway, this was. How did that help? How did that help? With all due respect, my dear, dear, dear friends, do you even think? Do you think you will ever be able to understand the complexity of the gradations of what these are? Muslim Brotherhood, Egypt. Saeed Qutb. Remember him? Qutb. Saeed Qutb. Nasser got him. Remember? I think it was Nasser was a execution or whatever. The Muslim Brotherhood. What came from that? Zawahiri. Remember? Who I think they said died recently or whatever. I don't know. He was responsible ultimately for the the Anwar Sadat case. That was, again, Muslim Brotherhood. There was a wonderful, if you talk about wonderful, please see the documentary, The Power of Nightmares, and the parallel development, interestingly enough, of the neoconservative Leo Strauss arm of this, along with this. Now, it's an interesting parallel, but if you really want to complicate your brain, watch this. It's wonderful. Let me tell you something which is interesting. I was watching, there's a very fascinating person that you should watch. You may not like him, and I don't know whether you do or not, but his name is, wait a minute. His name is, hang on. Yes, his name is Mehdi Hassan. Very, very, very interesting. Absolutely fascinating. Fascinating. Why is he fascinating? Always listen to what he has to say. He represents a very a much loved. He's a great debater. Watch his pieces at Oxford. He's excellent, and he should be watched. No, you don't have to agree with him. No. And I watched something he was doing. He had a very interesting debate the other night about whether it was an old one. Whether being anti-Zionist means anti-Semitic, and I think he won this debate hands down. He said no, it didn't matter, and it was true the way he spelled it out. Sparky says story about Biden giving Iran money was getting traction, which helped keep Iran from being officially blamed for Hamas. Biden may have inadvertently prevented World War III. Let me tell you something, Sparky. Stop right there, and you bring up a good point. Thank you for bringing this up. Let me remember Medio as a side. Don't let me forget. Biden's reaction, his last one, was perfect regarding slamming Hamas. Karine Jean-Pierre, perfect. They told Rashida Tlaib, we're done with you. We're done. He did it. He did it to his credit. And you can say, well, he merely read something. I don't care. He said the right thing. Number one, dealing with Hamas, there's no argument about that. That's a given. Get that out of the way. The sooner you admit that, if you're interested in pursuing whatever the underlying causes of this, the sooner you admit that, the better off you'll be. Just admit this, get it out of the way. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Stop it. Don't think for a moment that there's no intellectual, well, maybe the guy. No. And right now, I'm also seeing this. There is this move, and let me explain this to you. I think I said this the other day, and I will say it again. Please tell me that the story about the savagery of babies, be careful how we say this. Please tell me that story is incorrect. Please tell me it was misunderstood. Please tell me that I don't share DNA with anyone who will do that, as have been the atrocities throughout the world. Okay. And on my private channel, I went through it in much greater detail. Okay. Okay. Please tell me. I am not an independent. I always have my suspicions. My default mechanism is I don't believe what the media say, period. Number two, I listen to the story and I'm saying, does this sound at all possible? And for the most part, it's a very low threshold. And then I move on and move on and move on and move on. Okay. Already I'm seeing something. I'm not going to mention who, but I get these emails. And somebody says, already Biden is parroting this ridiculous story about children. Now, do you know this? No. Do you remember the story about the incubators in Iraq? Yeah. Okay. So that turned out to be false. Is this story false? Do you know this? There's a lot of problems. I was watching the Rising, which I kind of like because it's just very, again, more spice. Ooh, cardamom. Ooh, more spice, more kind of help me triangulate the issue. They were saying that they were not sure how this could be verified. Everybody has pictures of everything. Okay. Put that over there. But immediately, the wing of this, remember, trying to get my Substack numbers up, they do the same thing. These folks, well, this is ridiculous. Obviously, this is a lie. They believe everything. They are at the beginning. They are at the beginning. And they start under the premise that I am anti-Israel. I am they won't say they're pro-Hamas, but they'll benefit. Because in their particular enclave, they will say, I am lauded for this. There have been, and you have to listen to this. You have to listen to folks. You have to hear what they have to. You're not going to understand the issue unless you listen to people that you may not necessarily like or agree with. And I've been telling you, listen to Gray Zone, listen to other people, listen to Al Jazeera, listen to other folks. Don't be afraid of listening to anybody. Make up your own mind. Find out how this thing, because it helps you, believe it or not, triangulate. But what we are seeing right now is when Biden gets something right, he gets it right. And the issue is going to be this. They are going to say, here's the official story. Anthony Blinken said, we gave the money to Iran. It's fun. No, excuse me, because fungible was the word of the day the other day. We know for a fact that not one penny of that went to supporting or paying or financing, whatever. Okay, fine. How do you know that? Well, you don't know that. You don't know that. You say this, and it seems ridiculous. Why these folks don't prepare the answer ahead of time? You know what the question is going to be. You know what the question is going to be. And now, look at what Ukraine's doing. What does Zelensky do? He said, wait a minute, hold it. I think he's against, he's trying to say, I'm the good guy here. I'm the good guy. I'm, remember me, I'm on your side. And then there are other folks who were saying what Putin is saying. Putin was basically slamming American policy. Well, other people were doing it as well. And let me tell you something. You've got to come to grips with one reality here. I don't care what side you are. Do we look like we know what we're doing? Do we? Do we look like we know what we're doing? Krishnamurti nailed it when he said, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Certainly. Listen to this. Best thing ever. Susie Bell said, so much history I need to learn. Susie, yes. It's not history, it's perspective. Perspective. Do you remember Vietnam? How many remember Vietnam? How many remember this? Do you remember when people ask Americans, how do you support the slaughter of innocent Vietnamese children and old people? And how do you support this? Remember that? Remember the old days? And you would say, look, I don't respect. No, you just said support the troops. Well, I mean, I support. Well, what are you supporting? Well, look, I support the fact that they're going in there killing. Well, yes, they are. And I don't support them. And by the way, there were people who were against the war who didn't support spitting and mistreating soldiers when they came back. But ask yourself this question. Did you support this? Did you support the Vietnam War? What does that mean? So when Iran supports something, when this group support, what does that mean? Giving them money is one thing. Reem says, they want to show the world, don't mess with us without causing more damage to the city they built. Therefore, war at sea. Well, that's uniquely interesting. Let me go back to what I'm saying. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does this mean? Tell me. What does it mean? And what is the perspective that you have to maintain to have a complete and total balanced understanding of what's happening? I'm telling you right now, believe me when I'm saying this, this is so complicated. And it's great. It's great to have, very kind of pithy statements, but it's more complicated than that. That's all. My friends, as I told you before, remember, right now, when we have talked about emergency food. It never seemed to be more relevant than now. Take 25% off a 3-month emergency food kit. I hope, I trust, I believe we will never have the horrors that what is happening right now in Gaza. Whether you can blame anybody, it's by announcement. They're saying this is going to happen. And by the way, it's not just there, but it's around the world. It's around the world. Go to preparewithlionel.com and find out how easy it is and how smart it is to take control of your life. It's better to buy something and not need it than need it and not have it. Preparewithlionel.com. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up our friends at mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. They are supporting us, and they are making it out to be like this is the death knell. Absolutely not. They've got the greatest products, sheets, bedspreads, duvets, blankets, quilts, pillows, slippers, you can imagine. MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. Great people, great products, American owned and operated. All right? And let me thank you. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your insight. Reem, thank you. Barry Taylor, Sparky, as usual. Your perspective is plenary. Edie Crowley, Barry Taylor, thank you so much. Daniel Nathan Leland, thank you. White Monkey. Oh, by the way, I missed this. He says, has ADL come? Oh, yeah, we did that one. ADL should speak up against Harvard and the squad. Absolutely. George Lenz, thank you as well. All right, friends, we will see you tonight. We will see you tonight at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for your time and effort. We spent an hour and 17 minutes speaking today. And that's what I'm going to do. Spread the word. Spread the word. Sparky, by the way, his last word says, by the way, Brian Berletic and Angelo Giuliano's terrific discussion on Hamas was posted on the new Atlas yesterday. Well, there you go. Thank you, Sparky. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. No, see you tonight, 7 p.m. By the way, I'll be sitting in today for Anthony Cumia. I'll be doing his show today from 4 to 6 p.m. I'll be the guest host. So pay attention to that on the Compound News, Anthony Cumia. In any event, have a great day. See you tonight, 7 p.m. And don't forget, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya.